Hello, everyone. This is our Hawaiian Volcano Summary for October 10th, 2024. Kīlauea remains quiet underground, but a small wildfire has flared up on the southern edge of Nāpau Crater, visible here, adjacent to the eruption site which filled this part of the crater last month. The fire itself was captured starting on a webcam, the PW camera from the USGS. And here is a zoomed-in sequence showing the first plume of smoke and then some incandescence overnight from a couple of different spots, spanning in that western to southern side of Nāpau Crater in there. See, that was present even through yesterday. Last night, there seemed like there was some moisture that came through, and this morning, not as much fume was visible, although in some images more recently, it has been spotted as well. Besides these images of the fume on the southern and western side of the crater, we have some close-ups such as this, which is showing what's actually burning in there. There's no continuous flame wall, but there is underbrush burning, largely the uluhe staghorn fern that's in this area. Underground, the volcano remains just as quiet as it was last week. These are the earthquake counts per day for the last month. So this is the buildup to the eruption here. When eruption begins, they drop off. Eruption lasts 5 days. And since then, earthquake rates have been just as quiet with no resumption of higher counts. Looking at the distribution of them, they're in a similar location to last week as well. That is with deeper earthquakes beneath the summit down to the base of the volcanic pile, as well as earthquakes on either flank of the rift zone, both the south flank, which we've seen moving fairly continuously, more so when we have intrusions and adjustments, but also north of the rift zone, as you can see here. If we look at our ground tilt stations, we can see that there's been variation in inflation at the summit. This is the Sand Hill station, whose blue component here often points to the Hale crater area. So that has been inflating more so in recent weeks. Nothing to the scale of what we've lost during the recent events. But you can see that the green component from the South Caldera was inflating a little bit earlier the week before that, and it has been more stable over the past week. So still filling the summit areas and areas that fed magma to the recent eruption. Down near the bend in the rift zone, we can see not a whole lot of change at the escape road station, where normally we see this dropping a little bit more quickly. It has been fairly stable over the last couple of weeks here, so perhaps still trickling in there. And finally, over at Pūʻoʻo crater, there is still no indication of magma nearby in the rift zone there, but it does pick up the signal from the west, where it does seem to be tilting as that reservoir by Makaupuhi seems to be refilling. And to show you visually where that is, this is the latest INSAR image from the USGS showing where the dike opened, and it's really in this area right in here by the bend of the rift zone that we're seeing accumulation, with not so much signal from Pūʻoʻo itself or from the Nāpau crater area right in there. So refilling where it lost magma at the summit and at the bend of the rift zone. Turning to Maunaulu, earthquake rates are still quite low on Maunaulu, but there has been a tiny bump in earthquakes that occurred yesterday where we reached 9 earthquakes in that summit area. If we look at their distribution, we can see that they're fairly spread out and largely on this eastern flank, where we have 2 slightly larger events, magnitude 1s, along with a host of smaller events on that southeast flank. So on the grand scheme of things, looking at the last 5 years, that's not even a blip on these very low earthquake rates that follow the eruption in 2022. So Maunaulu is still recharging as expected and nothing unusual there. And that's our Hawaiian Volcano Summary for this week.